Whoa! It's Wulzy. Welcome back to another Geometry Dash video. It is currently April 2024. We're coming up on the 11th anniversary of Geometry Dash. Geometry Dash has transformed since the day that it was conceived. Initially, it was regarded as the impossible game ripoff, but as time went on, more creative features got added. We are now in the state where Geometry Dash is literally just an art medium. This game's perception has drastically improved over the years, and it's now regarded to be one of the best mobile games of all time. Ludwig placed it in the S tier, so I figure why not just go back through the RobTop levels one more time. I actually made this same video in 2021. I'm gonna have opinions on some of these levels that have probably changed since then. I think the middle of 2021 was really when I started getting a little bit of traction, so that video kind of predates all of that. And now we're here in 2024, in 2.2, the long-awaited update. We have levels such as Dash and the Tower to go through. I was going to take our time, go from the very beginning, and just talk about these levels one more time, just to refamiliarize ourselves with where it all began. Back on track here, we have these yellow pad jumps, very nice, very cool little gimmick. You have to avoid some of them. Again, this whole video is just an avoid copyright challenge. Good times, man. To think I was only 11 during that time and now I'm pushing 21. Oh well. I'm probably going to repeat a couple of things that I initially said in my first video on this, but I started playing in very early 2015. Still a couple of things in these levels that might catch me out, so I gotta stay on my toes and pay full attention, even though I've beaten them countless times each. You know what? I'm gonna show off and I'm gonna go for that coin that everyone complains about due to its really difficult timing. I know GD Colon hates this one especially in his coin rating videos. There's a jump with a blue pad that's hidden in the floor. You have to jump right about now and land on here. Then there's a blind orb. Then you have to spam jump when you land. Kind of crazy, but it's also skill-based, and if you die there, it's a skill issue. That is what is known as a timing, and there are plenty of those in the top levels in the game, which I have beaten none of. There must be around 1,000 extreme demons out there now, which is the hardest difficulty in the game. I've beaten maybe 3 or 4, none of which are in the highest category. What they say is that the hardest extreme demon in the game to like a low extreme demon is a bigger gap between that lowest extreme demon and Stereo Madness. And I don't know if that's true, but it's crazy to think about, to be honest. You have to jump off most of the exits to these blocks. It looks like you can fall sometimes, but maybe I was a child. Yeah, that jump specifically. That jump is like 3 blocks wide, and you just barely can't fall that much. And it kind of looks like a 2-block gap, especially to new players that don't really fully know how to sight read, so I don't blame myself for dying there as a kid. Okay, light work in the final ship here. There's a coin at the ceiling, which is kind of a proto version of the Theory of Everything coin, which is probably one of the hardest coins in the game, I'll point it out. But we got a long way to go until then. I want to see if I can go through this entire video without dying. That would be really nice. Even if I'm not recording, I do love to go back through these levels from time to time and just admire them. I think the skill progression that's involved with each level just being slightly harder than the next, incorporating more and more gimmicks and sight reading tricks, it's just fascinating to unravel, I guess. It's kind of just drip fed to you with new additions appearing at the start of every level in like a really easy manner and then just showing themselves over time to be more of a threat. Except whatever RobTop put at the start of Dash. That was really uncalled for. That is not drip fed in the slightest. And yeah, there's a few coins that are kind of dumb. It's really so much easier to go up at the top here. I don't have to pay much attention at all. You know, when I'm 80 years old and I'm sitting with my grandkids, all I can remember are just random TikTok sounds and also clips of myself as a 6-year-old, but not 6-year-old, 12-year-old playing Geometry Dash and screaming and raging. That's all I can give you. Whoa! I'm just gonna be incoherent. I will bang out Can't Let Go on my deathbed, even if I have all sorts of memory problems. And what baffles me is that people that have put so much time into this game don't know much about the RobTop levels. They just play them once and never again? How could you do that to RobTop levels? They're so good! Juniper is my girlfriend, very successful Geometry Dash content creator. And me and Howard were just like, if I said to you electrodynamics, would you know what level it is? And she was just like, no. How can you not know? That's level 15, obviously. Is it weird of me to know that? But yeah, Jumper is a personal favorite of mine. It does have one of the most devilish coins for some of the original levels, like the first 10. There is an upside down ship where you have to fly dangerously close to those spikes, straight fly into that gap. Physics of this game have been standardized over time to be a lot more consistent and fair to everyone. But back in the day, there was an extreme gap between mobile gaming and PC gaming, because what people that played this game decided to do was allow extremely high frame rates to accommodate for the higher monitors that were available. Now, that gave a significant advantage against people that were playing on mobile, which was 30, 60 FPS. And the physics were actually different, but now they're the same. The ship used to fly differently, and you can imagine getting through that section with the weird ship that used to drop more. It was a nightmare. Getting that coin on mobile was such an achievement. Time Machine. I feel like a lot of people have a certain distaste towards this level. There are an absurd amount of triple spikes in this level, I will say. They are squished together. You may not be able to tell, but these spikes are not placed normally on their grid. They're kind of just squished the tiniest little bit in a way that you don't really notice as a new player, but when you come back, you can tell. This level with its reverse game mode, it kills a lot of people. That coin is really hard too. It's kind of the same vibes as Jumper, except you're not consistently flying so close towards the ground. You're actually just flying in between that gap. But yeah, there's a lot of people that hate mirror mode to this day. It got added so long ago, and people just haven't adapted to it. It just doesn't make sense in my brain. I don't know where to look. Over time, I've accustomed to looking at a very specific spot on the screen in front of the cube, but when I go backwards, I don't know where that spot is. I don't know how to sight read. It's not the same. I'm kind of just awkwardly staring at my cube right now, when typically I'm staring like slightly ahead of it. I personally enjoy Time Machine. It's just a big step up in difficulty from Jumper, because Jumper has a lot of step down jumps. Now, one thing you can do in this game to make it a bit better is kind of buffer your jumps. If you click and hold before you hit the orb, if you're still holding by the time you get to the orb, you will successfully press it. It's the same for when you fall off a block and you're trying to jump straight away. If you hold in midair and still be holding when you land, you will instantly make that jump. And Jumper has a lot of those. Oh god, this part has a lot of fakes. Hold on. There are plenty of different ways to do this. I've always jumped over that pad and hit the orb. But yeah, Jumper has a lot of those step down jumps, or like buffer jumps. It makes it pretty easy to come back to if you're familiar with how the game works, but trying to time those jumps when you're not familiar with how the buffer works can be pretty tricky. Also, people hate this ship section. I don't know why. It teaches you to read the portals, and by repeating itself, it makes it pretty easy to learn. As opposed to like constantly switching between gravity portals without much of a pattern, it could be pretty difficult. But knowing exactly what to do, I don't know. It just works well. I can't articulate it. Cycle's done. Still no death. Moving on to X Step. This one was a personal favorite. I think I just liked turquoise as a kid, but now I'm more of an orange guy, if you couldn't tell. I used to feel like such a pro when I used to be able to get through this ball part in X Step. Back when I hadn't completed, like, I couldn't complete, like, Can't Let Go. I was like, oh my goodness, I just got 20% on X Step. And then I would just get cooked by the ship section at the drop because I didn't really understand what was happening. I used to think that you had to hit a bunch of these blue pads in the ship section, but they're actually just traps. And I think this is really creative because RobTop's placed these in such a way that it practices your ship control, but you technically have a chance of surviving. Look, I'll hit one. Look, I'm fine. And then I can just flip back whenever I want. Now I've got the control to do that. But technically you had a chance to survive. I think that's just a genius section. This part's very learning. You've got to know which orbs are fakes, etc. Sorry, I probably sound like an egotistical idiot right now. One thing about Geometry Dash, you got to back yourself. You got to have confidence. If you get to a section kind of nervous, not entirely sure what to do, not sure in your ability, you're going to fumble. You're going to die. You're going to second guess every single input, and it's going to chain over and over again, and you're just going to do something wrong. You're going to slip up. But if you're confident with everything, mindset is so important in Geometry Dash, you can get through it. Clutterfunk is kind of renowned for having this cow fart song, but I think it's pretty cool. I really like this ball section. It's so well designed. You go up and down. It uses the full screen, which is something that not many levels can really pull off. A lot of levels kind of just put ground spikes all over and just make you stay in the middle. But this one, it's really creative. It makes you really think about where you're going. But yeah, this part kind of goes off. I'm not too sure about my ability right now, not gonna lie. I need to be confident. This is probably one of the hardest parts you'll ever come across in a RobTop level, to be honest. This whole stretch towards the end, some of these orbs are quite specific in their timings. You have to just time them pretty much in their center, and it works out most of the time. If you hit some of them early, it can be really hard to chain them. But yeah, I understand why people rage, because you have a whole lot of stuff to get through before then, especially if you haven't like mastered the ball or anything at that point. It also has one of the hardest ship sections you've seen at that point with the corridor. Theory of Everything, this one's a classic. You can spam the beginning, kind of funny. A bunch of fakes as usual. This one introduces the UFO game mode and also the concept of going different paths, which honestly, kind of a flop RobTop concept. The concept of having multiple paths and then just sitting and waiting. I'm coming up to one of the hardest coins. I mentioned this back in Dry Out. It's kind of the bottom mini version of it, where you go down and just to go into the middle section and wait. A lot of people just took this idea and trolled with it, like, haha, this is the arrow, and then you die, and it just becomes a demon. Theory of Everything is really fun. I'm pretty sure I beat this before some of the levels before it. Once you practice it enough, you can kind of get through it, whereas Clutterfunk, X-Step, you can practice it and still mess up. You can know exactly what's coming and just not have the skill to get through it, but Theory of Everything, once you memorize it, you're kind of good. Electroman Invention, this one's just a complete banger. I've always loved this level. It's so colorful, it's so beautiful. I used to just spam in this section. I didn't really understand what the pads were doing at all. There are some spikes on the ceiling, some spikes on the ground. I normally just fly in between, but back in the day, I'm pretty sure I used to just memorize which side I could land on and just stay safe that way. Because I was just so timid playing these levels that I always just looked for a surface to land on. But once you get better, like if some of the tops and some of the bottoms are hazardous, I'm just gonna fly in between. I have sections of RobTop levels that I would rank over Club Step, but this one, I've always just loved the style. The monsters are so iconic. It has so much versatility. There's some invisible gameplay, there's some memory, there's some demon flying sections like this one that you can learn just by knowing what to land on. You gotta go up in the ceiling sometimes. It's a scary level. This UFO is genuinely like really hard. One of the hardest RobTop sections in any level, in my opinion. Don't know if that's a hot take, but I die there quite a bit whenever I come back to Club Step, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I play this level differently every time I do it, which is probably why I'm the most scared of it. Holy crap, I gotta lock in. This is really scary. Oh, okay. I thought I was gonna die there too. Dude, I came so close to dying every time there. Oh, almost hit those. Man, Club Step, it's tricky. But electrodynamics, I've heard debating about whether this should be a demon. I don't see it, to be honest. I think it's learnable. I really do. It has some scary sections, it has some choke points, but overall, it's a really consistent level. It signposts itself well. Like, it's just very doable. I don't think it's on the same level as Theory of Everything 2, Club Step. Those are levels that you can memorize and still have skill issues with. I don't know. There is a really hard section coming up. This little flying section, I used to be terrified of this thing. It's really not that serious. As soon as you learn the ship momentum, it gets a lot better. I still have not died. We're approaching level 16. I could very well die to the quad spikes here, though. I'm kind of terrified. That jump is so off screen. I hate it. Oh, man. And this section is hard, too. Please stay in the middle. Oh, my God. I'm so close to these spikes. That was terrifying. Okay, maybe I should not talk with so much confidence. Hexagon Force, this level is so chill. Like, this is probably the chillest RobTop level. Not in terms of difficulty, just in the vibes. Just every part has so much charm and personality to it, and it's calm. And this jump can be kind of difficult if you're not used to it. I think Hexagon Force has probably been the most common favorite level of mine. It switches all the time. I think my opinions kind of sway based on my experiences with them whenever I go back to them. But this ball part, genuinely quite hard. At least I died while saying the part is hard. It's probably my favorite because I play it the least, and it makes me most nostalgic because I've seen it less. And I play it the least because of this ball section. That part is so hard. RobTop, why would you put that in the first level that you've ever made a duel in? That's evil. I can't imagine how many things RobTop scrapped before he settled on that section with the dual ball, and he kept that in the level? Dude, come on. There's no way you build the dual mode. And the first level you ever make has that section in. Blast processing. I remember back when I was trying to beat all the RobTop levels, I thought it was really cool that I could complete level 17 when I hadn't beaten like level 12. It never changes speed. It never does anything too much. It just goes hard. I'll always be this level's best friend. I don't know how he became such a good 1.9 creator like the moment that he made 1.9. You know what I mean? How am I alive? I'm gonna get accusated to all balls with that. Normally, if you clip into a block, you're gonna die. But I must have just been a little bit higher just for the game to realize that I deserve to be there. Thank goodness. Moving on to Theory of Everything 2. Now, this level's very scary. Dude, lots of memories of this one. Just trying to make incremental progress. I don't know why I choked on my word. Probably because I'm thinking of all the happy memories of me dying. I might struggle the most overall on this level. I feel like it has the most difficult sections that stay difficult as you get better at the game. Deadlocked for me is a level that I will never, ever not one attempt. Oh god, where do I go? Where do I actually go in this? Oh, well, I guess I've remembered that since being 12. This part is so intense. This ship, kinda hard. Not gonna lie, I was just about to say it's easy, but I did panic as soon as I was gonna say that. There are a lot of people that hate that ship section. This UFO part is quite tough, hello? Rob, you made it. No, this level's harder than Deadlock. There are a lot of people I've seen recently that have defended Geometrical Dominator as being the best RobTop level of all time. Now, the beginning, I can definitely stamp that. I think the start of Geometrical Dominator is one of the biggest bangers RobTop has ever made. There are a couple of sections of this level that I'm not too huge on, I have to be honest. But overall, I totally see where people are coming from when they say Geometrical Dominator is the best RobTop level. That part is unsight readable, not gonna lie. But this robot part, so open, so free, so beautiful. But yeah, this level has some really cool gimmicks. Going into the water, the rainbow blocks, the animated assets. There's some of the ground spikes are colored wrong. This part goes so hard. As for a main level, not sure if it goes hard. You can't really top the energy that part has. There are a few minor flaws with this level, I think. But overall, It is the most banging level. Oh god, we're on deadlock. I love this level so much. The beginning cube is probably one of Rob's most fun parts. This wave, kinda... Man, I die on the wave part. Just click a couple of times. You'll make it. It's fine. But this level has generated some banger clips.
Click! Oh my god, I nearly
Also, some of those portal exits are kind of weird. There are a couple of downsides to this level, but the plus sides are phenomenal. Probably the most iconic Rob Top Demon as it goes over time. Okay, Deadlocked is done. Thank goodness. I did it in 2 attempts. Not the worst performance from me. When I needed it the most, I fumbled. Skip this part. I don't want any YouTube comments asking what the song says in this part. Okay. Finger Dash. Probably some of Rob's best work. It is slightly empty at certain parts, but the first part is just eye candy. Cements its style as like Rob Top Hall of Fame coolest designs. Like the rocky stuff with the green grass goes so hard. It's so memorable. Then you have the floating section with all the rocks and the fireballs. Rob really snapped with a bunch of 2.1 features. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the blocks though, kinda not that. Like this part is, I don't know. Some of this glow usage is kind of ugly. This section just looks like undercooked pizza. This part is so rushed. It's funny. Dash is so cool. Dash is so cool. This is the most detailed Rob Top level of all time. Swingcopter still feels amazing to me. I haven't seen it used that much in many rated levels. I don't think it's that popular of a game mode, but when I first played this, I was blown away with how smooth it felt. I had a scrapped video where I made a big round spiral part in a level. I was losing my mind trying to get this to work. This huge floating section, you can hit those top spikes so easily just because of how weird it is to sight read. You can't really tell because of the open screen how much to press. It's hard to understand at first, but once you're well versed in 2.2, it is a dream to play, not gonna lie. I was not disappointed at all when it dropped. I know a few people were kind of like, I don't know, but I think it's really well made all the way to the end, and I wouldn't be surprised if it took Rob Top forever to make, not gonna lie. Oh my, I am exposing myself. I haven't beaten the tower with all the coins. It's not much of a climax, but for a level 1, have I actually just killed my dude? I mean, one thing that the tower does well is it makes me feel stupid. We'll say that. I love this game. Not sure I've said it enough. I've kind of criticized these Rob Top levels without really talking about how much I love this game. It took me a long time to do this at first on stream. I know a lot of people were raging at me because I couldn't do it and they wanted to see the update because they couldn't play it themselves, and I literally couldn't show them it because I was so bad at the game that I was unable to do this section, and I'm just the best, clearly. Look at that. First try. It played the sound effect. That means I did it. This is what I was like most expecting from platformer. Like this is the most platformer I could have ever dreamed up. Rob Top's levels are so inspiring. They make you want to make the same type of level that you've just played, if that makes sense. Love that you have to blow up a wall. Like, there are just objectives that are possible in Geometry Dash platformers. I got no accolade. The thing with the Rob Top platformers is that you can get each individual coin whenever you want. So if you want to get the 3 coins on the level, you can just do that whenever you please. You can just get the last one if you want to. If you've already got the first 2, you don't have to get all of them again. I will never get over the Among Us sound effect. I know it's a stock buzzer, but like, dude, it's so funny. As soon as it comes to platformers, I just start muttering like I'm Boris Johnson. Turn into a supine protoplasmic jelly. I'm so dead. What am I doing? I just threw so much time. Guess I'm not doing that speed run, and I have to go through and get all of these coins again. Okay, so this is the Cursed Thorn. He does like a random set of attacks. I'm so mad. And I hit the... That's the worst Wulzy clip ever. I'm actually done after that. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for watching this Geometry Dash video. Check the links in the description. Leave a like and subscribe, and have a good...